Hello, all of my intergalactic nail nerds. Today we are going to do a little peruse through all of these nails because I'm going to do a little intro to the DVOK Glacé collection. So I've had this set for like, I don't know, 2 weeks-ish now, and these are just all the experiments I've been doing. I'll probably do one of the simple ones in this video so you can see the polish, and then maybe do a separate tutorial in one or two. And this set was gifted to me by Sweetie Nail Supply, so thank you very much for that. And I'm not going to lie, this is a large set of polish. It was a little daunting at first. I kind of had to wrap my head around it. So at first glance, you'll notice we, like most collections, we have a lot of, pinky, beigey, rosy tones. But I like these because there's a couple peachy pinks in here that are to die for that I had to force myself to stop using. And then some more unusual orange tints that I like instead of it all being pinks. And then we get a nice little range as well. And then 6 magnetic gels with it too. And I know the whole point of this collection is like the glacé, glazing, that kind of thing. But I kept wanting to do matte finish nails, doing like the syrup mixing and doing matte nails. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just in that mood right now. But these colors all really do play really nicely with each other. You can always pick 3 to like 5 or 6 colors that you can use in one nail. So that's part of the problem, I think. So the first thing I did with this is I did all of the swatches just to wrap my head around the collection. And the display board comes with the collection, but those are my own nail swatches on the board, just so you're aware. And the thing to note about these kinds of thick plastic or glass, whatever they are, nail swatches is they make everything look incredible. And I love looking at them, but the reality is, especially for these cat eyes, we're going to look at those first, they're not going to look like that on your little fingers. Okay? Not unless you're doing a very thick textured look and you are giving the cat eye and the light coming through that much space to bounce around. So for the majority of the time, that's why I still, on this side, I like to do these flatter swatches because that gives you a reality check. Because the cat eyes will do all kinds of other colors when they have that kind of space going on in the clear gel. Okay, for the first cat eye, this is a much more glittery, sparkly champagne color, yellow champagne. The second one is a finer particled champagne. The third one is a pink, and then we have purple and a green, and then we actually have a super fine silver cat eye going on in there. And I will say the fine ones, the 4 center ones, they still have a shimmer to them, but they are a finer magnet particle. Now, my favorite in this was the purple, but this does that thing that some DVOK mag gels do is where as soon as you get an intense, good, activation of the magnetic particles, as soon as you pull the magnet away, it starts dropping. So I was really having to pretty much tape a magnet to my flash cure lamp to use the purple to try if I was trying to get a more intense feel to it. And I did find myself using the pink and purple together a lot as backgrounds on nails. And I like that they included their own fine particled silver mag in the collection too. And this collection is very much a typical DVOK syrup collection. They're very sheer. I like seeing the color bumped up. So I actually found some of the pale colors in the yogurt neon pudding set worked really well just to give us a milky backdrop to kind of let the true color of the syrups stand out instead of it kind of getting, I don't know, super sheer syrup gels kind of darken on your natural nail. And it's just a personal preference of mine. Some people like that watery, just a hint of a color thing. So it's just me personally. I like a little tiny bit more homogeneous, but I still only like it going to a slight milky feel underneath. So if you're like me, you can use a more milky syrup as a base coat. Okay, these gels here, these had a stronghold on me. I had to force myself to stop using them at a certain point. These peachy, intense pinks and that really great what is that green? I always struggle with, is it like an olivey burnt green? Anyway, these were the first ones I was doing with those, and I just love doing a sort of impressionistic, abstract flower field with them, and I kept wanting to do it in matte. I did one with a gloss coat, and that is with the larger particled champagne mag gel, just doing kind of a little French tip on there. This I did a matte coat, and then I just went in with colored pencil and just did some scratchy little flowers on it just to give us a little more definition, and then top coated that. I'm telling you, man, these pinks and greens, I think it's because spring's kind of here too. And here's another, this was just me splotching all of the sort of peachy pinks, both of the greens, the lighter green and the darker olivey green. They're both really great green tones. And then one of the purples and one of the light blues. They all just play really nice together. And so I just stippled them around. And then once you matte coat it, it really defines it a lot better. It'll look a lot mushier before you do the matte coat. And then I sort of drilled it down to a simpler, more abstract, just sort of color fields with it. I tried some experiments. I didn't go too far with that, with adding some thicker white to do some marbling. Just did some texture gel with sort of an ice chrome. That is a pink and purple cat eye background, and just then a light blend out of the lighter green color, which I also love that nail. It's just very simple and lovely looking. So yeah, then I had to make myself put those gels down so that I would play around with some other color combos. But again, I was really just kept wanting to swirl the colors like wet into wet on everything because they just blend so nicely together. So this is both of the greens, and there's a lighter and a darker gray in the collection as well. Just kind of doing abstract swirled patterns. Even, I experimented with some isolated chrome, some strands coming down. That one, then I just plopped another thing of green in the center. I don't know, they kind of started having like a retro feel with certain color combos too. Then I started doing some weird experiments. I was using some opaque like paint gel, and then kind of using these gels as a glaze over the top to give the brush strokes more dimension. There's something to that. I need to work it out a little more. And more just texture gel and a blue and green, just kind of backgrounds, seeing how those blend together. And now that I think about it, I bet if I switched to a more translucent painting texture gel underneath, it would work a lot better for that one that has the white gel. Anyway, so these I'm just playing around with doing, blends and ombre mixes with the blues and the purples. And then I started playing around with the fine particled champagne. I thought, oh, that would be a cool set to do a circle in the middle and then magnetize it like the phases of the moon. I didn't do the entire thing. This is another one, all wet into wet gel, and I just plopped a really strong red into these hazy gray purple background, and then let that bleed into the color a little before I cured it. And these guys remind me of just like sea foam or etched sea glass you'd find on the beach. I did do a glossy version, but mostly I really loved how these looked matte, and that's just a bubble technique, and I'm using the mag gels from this collection. And then I'm actually using number 88. This guy seemed like a boring color at first, sort of just a beigey nude, but it played off so nicely with the pale turquoise in this collection, and the two of them together with a matte coat. Just this gorgeous soft feel. I'll probably do a tutorial on that guy. This, I was just playing around. I got a weird magnet the other day that can do circles, so just wanted to see. This one I will probably do a tutorial as well. Because these are so sheer, you can really maintain the depth in the nails. And this is just a fantasy crystal stone nail. This isn't trying to mimic anything real. But I found a little shortcut to get to the stone texture and feel a lot quicker. And then I did use some very light work with some ink over the top. And these are a combo of using several of the mag gels as base coats on here, some texture, just some layering, and just to get these crystalline effects on it. And then I also did one where I did the dark gray as a base first. It doesn't read as well on camera, but in person, it's a really nice neutral kind of crystal nail look. And that last one is just another nice ethereal kind of feeling textured chrome nail with the cat eyes and the purples. Okay, real quick, let's just do a quick run through of the pink and green stuff. I'm just doing this on a milky white base, but I should have done like a pale peachy pink syrup because that is what I did on these original ones. But I'm just going to go in with the pink cat eye and do that as my background, and I'm just going to magnetize it towards the top because that's the only part of it we're going to see in the end anyway. And because I didn't do the pink base, I cure that, and now I'm going to go in and do just a pale coat. I think that's 87. Yeah, 87, just to get that pink hue to it since we're going to be using all of the pinks. Okay, now we're just going to go in with my favorite green, the 103. Maybe it's like a pea green? Is that the right? I don't know. Why do my words fail me? Anyway, I'm just doing a sloppy, streaky coat because I'm just doing this to imply a ground plane, like the grassy field. And we could just stop right there, and that would just give us this nail if we just blended out the green a little more on the bottom. Although I did use pink and purple combined in that one for the background coat, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, with that still wet, we don't want to cure the green. We are now going to go in with the gorgeous bright peachy pinks, and I'm just using the side of the brush and using that to kind of imply like tulips or flowers, whatever. And just kind of going in and the same thing, trying to make it look natural and random, which sometimes, you know, you screw it up and you kind of have to start over or take a brush to it and, you know, kind of manipulate stuff around. You just do the best that you can. And then going in with some of the colors to the left and right of that in the collection help just bringing out some highlights and just some interest in the sort of flower area. And I do like dropping some of the pinks straight into the green because I really like how the colors interact with each other. It's a little bit like blooming gel, you know, and then go back if you've covered up too much of the green, do some more streaks of the green. And it will kind of start to pool. This gel moves quickly, so you can always go back in with a little brush and kind of swirl stuff around as well. It's just a really nice little simple painterly nail. And there, I just slapped a matte coat on it. I don't really like that little blob I put in the skyline there. Shouldn't have done that. But anyway, that's it. That is the DVOK Glacé collection, and let me know if you would like me to do tutorials on those other two nails.